Right, so today we're going to start the bonnet. It's a tricky one because that edge there is going to end up more V-shaped than what it is at the moment, because when I cut down there and then take out maybe that bit there, squash the two halves together, that shape's going to go in even more. So the line that I've made here, well, I ain't made one, but I've got that resting where you see it, is going to dramatically change, and it could end up being more like that. So I don't know how I'm going to do this. Really, I don't, because I can't fit, once I've shortened it, I can't fit that over that bulkhead. At least I don't think I'm going to be able to. So this is going to be hit and miss, really. How the hell do I work that out? Ideally, I'd like to cut all that out completely up there, back to the original scuttle here, and maybe start all over again. I'd like to come off that, but I don't think that's going to be possible anyway. So I think, yeah, I just measured this up. I found a centre, which is there. Where the overhang was here, I've measured to there, but there's inconsistencies in this bit, so I had to take it to here instead. If I'm right in what I'm saying, it's 11 centimetres oversized each side. So what I will do is I've already measured, I've already taped off. These are the results. Not going to lie, I'm scared to death I cock it up. So I shall measure the tape, make sure that they are equal, draw me black line, take the tape off, turn it over. I've bought a spot weld grinder, so mill, whatever you call it. So we'll take that plate off, that area off, and see what we can turn up. If I can, I'd like to fill that area in with a piece of aluminium or something. Don't quite know how at the moment. Yeah, I don't know how at the moment. What I'm thinking is trying to duplicate a box that will fit in so I can rivet to that area there. There's no reason why I can't do it. I've done something similar before, but aluminium is a funny old material. It's not the easiest to work. So yeah, so what I shall do, that's where my line is. So I will probably have to cut a little closer in maybe, but I've also got to take into account that I've got to put a lip in along here for that to join onto, so just cutting along there may not be enough. So if I use the tape width itself, cut that tape in half with a tape measure, I can then draw a line down here which is half of that overhang, and then I can use my little device, which I don't know where it there, that red thing, and a joggler, I think that's what it's called. Put a lip, and then it's just a question of bolting it together, temporary, drilling a load of holes, and then running a series of rivets and glue, which means I'll have to sand back some of this paint. I don't actually know what this paint is, but the guy who gave it to me built a hot rod, and this paint was all over it. That was the colour he did it. I think it's supposed to be an etch primer, but I could be wrong, but it hasn't etched very well. As I say, I could be wrong. This has been sitting in his yard for about 3 or 4 years doing that, and he abandoned this bonnet, one because it was alley, and two because he had a what great dent there that he couldn't, I'm assuming he didn't want to knock it out, but I don't care about that dent. It will stay. I will knock it out briefly, but I won't do much more than that to it. So there's the line, that's how much I've got to slice out. That will then bring it in. But what it will also do is it will change the angles up here as well. So it'll make them more sharp. So eventually that will go across to that angle there. It's going to be awkward. I can't think of any other way to do it. I mean, I could cut that whole bit out here, cut it to there, but then I'll end up with a shorter bonnet, which I don't want. If I could find a way of extending this, I would. Right, here goes nothing. This is what I picked up for 20 odd quid. It's a spot weld milling machine-y, drill bit-y type thing. I can't remember what they called it. 20 odd quid. Blooming effective. I picked this idea up from a friend who I helped a little while back with a scuttle on a rather beat up van, which he'll not like me for saying, but he was on the road and I wasn't. So quite hot as hell in here, I tell you, sweating buckets. So I've got half of it out. Now the trick with this thing is you line that up. I thought you had to drill a hole first, but you don't. You line that little pointy thing up and then you just let that spin for a bit. This is on the aluminium I'm referring to, it might be different on steel. And then once that's made a little dot punch, you then push a spring-loaded pin in there, and then the milling device will drill out the spot welds. Now some of these I actually went straight through because this aluminium is proving to be rather a blooming nightmare to get off. I just need to get that one panel off and we're home free. Well, I do like this. It's a brilliant bit of kit. There you go. Just got to grind them flat, hoover out the dust. You know I won't do that though. Involves a hoover. So now we're ready to spin it over and the real scary bit starts. Yeah, I should have left that where it was. That wasn't doing any harm on that side. I took that out. Now I'm kind of regretting that a little bit. Don't know how that's going to affect putting it all back together. Can't weld this stuff. It won't weld, so there's no point even trying. And there's nowhere for that to... I'll just have to put sealant around it and hope that'll hold. Should have left that alone. Never mind. I have got the piece of metal in question, but as I said, should have left that alone. But I thought that was all joined. It wasn't. That was joined to this. It wasn't joined to the piece behind. Even though they looked like there were spot welds there, but there weren't. There we go, cut it. I've taken it as close to the nose as I dare. I do not want to narrow the nose whatsoever, so there will be a split gap there. But I've already decided in my own mind that I'm going to try and create a strip that can cover this entire seam piece all the way down. So there was originally a rover ornament there, so we'll probably build something on the nose to cover that area up. I'm not bothered if it's got a bit of a patchwork look to it at the front because of the nature of the vehicle, but we have narrowed it. There'll be an overhang of approximately a centimetre, which will be there. Only thing is I can't, yeah, I might have to, I don't want to narrow that nose, that would be a nightmare. I never took that into consideration down here, did I? I knew something would go wrong. I should have flared that out further. Okay, quick update on the trike. As I know some of you have been following that rigorously. Get the word out properly later. Anyway, DVLA have just rung me back, literally just now. They won't accept the documentation until I have paid £55 and 55 pence. 6 months tax. £55, 55p. 6 months ready tax. I said to the lady, I'm not riding it. I have no intentions in riding it. I'm not, she said, no, I'm not even selling, I'm doing a deal. A swap. I said, that's what I'm doing. She said, I'm ever so sorry, in that Welsh accent. Sorry, Welshmans, I can't do it very well. She said, but it has to be paid. Okay, fine. I appreciate you ringing me back, all that kind of thing. And I was grateful, because they don't normally do that either. They just chuck the shit in the post and send it back to you with a letter saying sort it. So I am grateful to that lady for a phone call, but I'm still annoyed. £55 of tax. So as soon as that logbook comes through, I'm cancelling that straight away and try and get as much of my money back as I can. So yeah, and I've also got to get a photo, because I didn't do this, I forgot, but I need a photo of the headstock number as well. She wants that, so I've got to get the wire brush out and clean all that metal up, wreck the paint, just so I can get a photo to contend them. I said, well, why can't I take it to an inspection? They go, no, we don't do that. Obviously they have to pay the garage, so that will be why, I suppose. So there you go, that's the status. That logbook, once I've done this, should be back in this house in 3 weeks time at the latest. She said the week after next. Well, that's about 3 weeks away, so it should come back as a trike with a bit of luck, and then we can sign that over to the chap, and then the chap can sign his over to mine, and I'll have his bike, he'll have my bike, and everybody's happy. He's now back on the road. Well, it will be in 3 weeks time. Back to this. I think that's pretty good news about the trike. Anyway, I've had to put a relief cut where those two holes were, because that was pulling that nose in and making it actually skinnier. Now that I've managed to flare that out, this part of the bonnet is actually now sitting underneath, so I'm quite happy about that. So we're going to trim up over here, and basically I'll get my tool and I'll put a lip all the way down as far as I can take it, and clamp it and drill it. I've got to get a bunch of 5mm drill bits. I've also got to get some more rivets, because I've only got the big wide-headed rivets, and I don't really want to use those because they're too big. I've got them in here. There they are. I don't really want to use those. I don't even want to use the normal ones. I would like to use countersink jobbies, but the metal's so thin that it won't work. Not really. Which might be a problem later with that idea I had about putting a strip over the top. That now might not happen. I might actually just build something down here using the English wheel and a hammer, and make a cover to go over there in the shape of something. I don't really know what at the moment. A motif of some description. Might even try my own coat of arms. That will be a spanner, a skull, and something else. There you go. The line is terrible, but that's what you get when you use a grinder. So I'll get the belt sander out and see if I can't straighten some of that up. Ideally I should be taking this whole panel off, but I just can't do it. I just don't want to do it at this point in time. So we'll see how we get on. So I'm gonna open that gap up, turn this around, run the belt sander in there, try and straighten that blinking line up as best as I can, and then we'll get that tool. Where are you? That one. And we'll put a lip all the way down, and then we'll drill, and then we'll start riveting, and then we've got to do the whole process again on the other side. Guys, this is not bloody well going to plan. I didn't leave enough alley on that centerpiece in order to drive that over the top. It was like, well, it just wasn't enough. So what I've had to do, which was the one thing I didn't want to do and couldn't afford to do, was reduce the nose size so as I could get a little bit more of an overhang. So what I've done effectively is I've cut along that line there all the way down, and then that line there now sits right butt against that edge there. I've lost approximately 2 inches off the front, and those 2 inches were very, very important. So what can I do? That was the only thing I could do. Nightmare. I lost it with this. I threw it across the shed. That broke in half when I did that. Very clever of me. So there you go. One half is done. But how well this is going to come out now, I don't know, because it's too skinny at the front. I'll tell you, this is driving me up the wall. Right, I've just cut. I thought I was going to leave this till tomorrow, but I want to upload the videos tomorrow, both of them. So here we go. This is what we've got so far. Unfortunately, we have lost some considerable amount of room at the front. Now, what I could have done, and I didn't think about this until I cut that second one, is I could have got a piece of flat bar of about 4 inches wide, and I could have run that straight across the front of the area of the engine, and I could have done a swing up bonnet like you get on them old vintage things. I didn't think of that until after I cut it, and I'm kind of already committed with the rivets. So, tough tit, as they say. And I'm getting cheesed off with it. I would like this job out of the way, because next week I'm going to focus myself on getting that back end sorted out on the truck. The tip's got to come off, the chassis got to be welded up where the ram messed it up. I've got a fuel tank to fit, but I've got to do all of that before I fit the fuel tank. So no, this needs to be done today, at the very latest tomorrow. So what have I got left? Right, well, I already did what they call them, jobbler, nibbler, no, whatever, I can't remember. All the way along there. Once I've done that, I'll drill a series of holes that will line up with these ones. Big old bugger at the front, which is going to get pulled out anyway, and another big one at the top, which is just 2 holding rivets, again, that's going to get pulled out. And we'll then do a series of smaller holes, clean the holes up and wallop the rivets in, and then we'll take this out on top of the truck and see how this is going to look. Now you can see what I meant by that angle has now significantly changed. There's neither here nor there with me, to be honest, but it has changed. Nice little hole here. Could I make use of that with something, I wonder? I don't know. Possibly. But you can see how much has been pulled off. I'll show you. Look, here's the white one of my through. So effectively, that's what I've done. I tried to minimalise it as much as I could at the bottom, but that just wasn't possible to do because I'm an idiot and I went and cut too much off. Had I realised what I was doing, had I have left this in place on the centre, I would have had plenty of meat to play around with. I only needed to make 1 ready cut, I didn't need to do 2, but there you go, that's me for you. So it is what it is. I say, we are done. Stay with me. I'm hot. There you go. Those are rivets, slightly not quite straight, slightly very unstraight, slightly mucked up. Oh, can't be arsed. Too hot. Right, let's go and eye this thing up on the lorry, truck, car, whatever you want to call it. There you go. Now it works. So the next thing to do is to establish a line of where it's going to sit up there. I have lost some of my space that I needed at the front. Really annoyed about that, but not a lot I can do about it. We need to lay this on the ground and stand on it a bit because it's gone a bit buckly there, but nothing that can't be dealt with. So when we do the sides, I reckon we're going to have to bring it out just a little bit because of that bit. Yeah, come out and down and then go from there. We could probably get away with pulling that forward just a tiny bit, probably around about there somewhere, once we've established the centre. It didn't come out as good as I wanted. Blasted thing. It's a very stupid fault. Oh well. Onwards and upwards, or upwards and onwards, whatever the saying go. That gap at the front, ignore that. I'll probably put a clamp across there and pull that in and make something to go around that. We've got to fill in that space at the top, and we've got to straighten out the aluminium a little bit more. But yeah, I think it's going to work. I think it's definitely going to work. I'm a little annoyed about the front though. If I can't get my head around that, then we're going to have some problems. Yeah. Doesn't help the fact it's on the piss as well. It's on the hair. And you get some air in that tyre, but that tyre's shot. I need to drop that down, level this out, otherwise I'll build it on a wonk. That won't work, will it? So we've got a bit more work to do to that as yet. Seriously got to tidy that up, but it's close enough as far as I'm concerned. I don't know what this paint is, but it definitely ain't etch primer. Man. Right. Now you can see what I can see. I look forward to cutting those bits on here, because we're going to go straight down, round, down, cross, up, over, get rid of all of that. We're going to keep that post where it is. We're going to add to that. We're going to put the door in, and then we're going to build that out to the door shape, and hopefully that will then drop down to where it needs to be. So I'm probably going to have to rivet a piece of alley across there, so it can rest on here. Once we've established that bit, we can then build the sides up, and once we've done the sides, we can then cut into that skull, alter that slightly so it fits a bit better. Yeah. Bit disappointed that the nose is a bit narrow. Is that or I get a smaller radiator, but God knows what. I can't think of anything. Right, I'm out of here. That's it. I am now officially knackered. So that's 2 videos this weekend. So I want to say thank you very much for your likes, any shares you might have given me. And oh, it's been a hot day. Catch you later. Bye.